Hello and welcome to another installment of Playing from the Tips. I think our screenshot here is a bit of a giveaway of what we're going to be talking about, so let's just dive right into it. So for the purposes of showing a couple examples here, I've turned wind speed off, so we're going to remove that variable from the equation and just talk about your elevation changes and how using the overhead map can be really helpful. Wanted to talk about this today because I've watched plenty of streams of guys playing and certainly played with others who get into situations where if they would just look at the overhead map, it would really help them figure out how far their ball is going to go. So here we are, first tee shot. Looks pretty straight away from the tee box. When we get out and see where the scout cam puts us, well, that's kind of could be a tight landing area, right? I mean, if we hit it here, land, roll into that rough quite possibly. Obviously, we don't want to hit it into the bunker. But when we look at the overhead map, you can see the little waypoints telling you how far away it is from you, and importantly, and this is really the only thing that I'm using this for that I can't tell from the scout cam, the elevation change in a number. So you can see that 242 yards from the tee is down 31 feet. And then above that left-hand first bunker there, it's 347, it's downhill 39 feet. So we know from the basics of understanding gameplay that every 3 feet is a yard. So that's essentially 13 yards downhill to that 347. Conversely, it's essentially 10 yards downhill to that 242. So what this tells us is it's at least 10 yards that we're going to get in ball flight over where this is right now. So I don't have like a counted out click method. I'm sure that's possible, but I just visually can see like this ball, if I hit it right there, is not going to land in that rough. It's going to land up here and trickle down. And there you go. About 10 yards further, maybe 12 yards further than it would have been otherwise, and it'll run on down. So we took a look at how the overhead map can be really useful for tee shots, but it also can be when you're hitting your approach shots and trying to figure out how far you need to hit the ball. Now, this isn't the case with every single approach shot you're ever going to have, especially on par threes, because these little dots that we look at on the overhead map are only determined by where the waypoint of the hole in designer is. So just have that disclaimer. So we've got 161 up 16 feet, so it's probably going to be 166. These are fast, firm conditions, so we really probably only want to land the ball right on that front edge, right? Now you can count back by the grid boxes we talked about last week. It's about a yard per box, give or take. That's usually my go-to strategy, but for a shot like this, you can get a more exact number if the overhead camera shows you the yardage to the front edge. So there's our overhead, which we are getting to by hitting the B or the circle if you didn't know. If you click then the right bumper, you will zoom into the green. And the most helpful versions of these are ones that do have those waypoints in line with your shot, or at least close to it. So what we can see here is, again, it's 166 to the pin, but that dot right on the front edge, which would be just about where we want to hit it, maybe a yard past that, that's showing us 158. So we're looking maybe 159, 160. With this club off of an upslope, that could be about right. That could be just about perfect. Maybe we'll give it a little bit of help here and then cross our fingers and hope it works out well. And it looks like we didn't need that help. Oh, well, that'll do. So there are a couple of examples of how you can use what I believe to be one of the more underutilized tools provided by the game to help you figure out some yardages on your tee shots and your approach shots. Like I said, it's something that's kind of become habit for me, but something that I don't notice some players using all that often. If you already use it, then this is nothing new. But if you haven't seen it or haven't understood maybe the how it can be used in terms of determining additional or less ball flight from drives, or figuring out the exact yardage carries to the front edge of greens or even the back edge in some certain situations. hope this helps, and looking forward to another episode of Playing from the Tips coming to you next week. Cheers.